It's warming up a little bit. 42. Wow. Hey, that's something, right? Yeah. Why don't we go into the garage and talk some stuff over? You can stay there. All right. Here we are in the garage. Yes, I still have this car. So a couple things I want to talk about regarding the Miata. So, as my more loyal viewers know, I did a complete suspension overhaul. Well, not complete. I didn't do all the bushings, but I did replace all 4 shocks with OEM equivalent KYB shocks. I think I used the KYB XLGs, or the whatever they're called now. I did replace the sway bar links and bushings, and I replaced the front lower ball joints. They weren't, get this, the car is, what, 26 years old? The lower ball joints were perfectly fine. There was nothing wrong with them. Why did I replace them? I don't know, but they were replaced with OEM ball joints. I did not go to O'Reilly and buy Moog or some other crap ball joints. I used factory parts, and they'll last the rest of the car's life. They'll never have to be done again. Not that they needed to be done in the first place, but here we are. So I installed the couple of things from IL Motorsports. I installed their custom redesigned console. Yes, I'm wearing pajamas. So I put this new console in. I'm loving it. I've driven the car already. I've put about maybe 40, 50 miles on it so far. Yeah, I took it out early this year. Just call it cabin fever, but I didn't put this car on the road until I think a little bit later in the year last year. But we're now in early March. The weather's starting to break. We haven't really had any snow. The roads are clear. You know, there's no salt or anything left. So I figured I'd take the car out for a little joyride, and I enjoyed it. So the new suspension is rock solid. This thing is handling nice. Very, very nice. I mean, the thing is, the Miata was a car that you could buy stock and enjoy it for what it is. That's what I love about these cars, because they were built from the factory. They were built for... Hold on. I can hear a little whining Oreo. Let's get them in the house. All right, come on. Let's go inside. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go, 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 go. There we go. That's his little bed. Alright. So, the nice thing about the Miata, you know, I talk a lot about how much of a... There is no such thing as the perfect car. But the Miata is really as close to perfect as you're going to get for a 2-seater convertible at a price that anybody can afford. It doesn't really get any better than this. But it's a car that you can take from the factory and just drive the hell out of it. And it'll plow into corners. It will, you know, it will do exactly what you ask it to do. The weak spots in the stock Miatas, of course, would be horsepower. There's just, especially the NA, which this is, you know, the first generation, they just didn't have the power. You know, this thing is, I think it's rated for about 130 horsepower. I mean, it's anemic as all get up. But the nice thing about this car is the power that you get, especially if you have a manual transmission. If you've got an automatic, forget it. But if you've got the manual transmission, you can really make good use of that power. And the car is capable of a lot more power. You know, there are bolt-on modifications, turbochargers, are quite popular on these. There's a bolt-on turbocharger kit for this car. You know, they're not that difficult to install. A little pricey, but can be done by anyone. So my initial shakedown run after all that work has been positive. I did replace the O2 sensor with a Nippon Denso sensor. No, or did I use an NGK sensor? I think I used an NGK. Whatever I used, it was equivalent to what came out of it from the factory. I put this Walker O2 sensor in, not realizing what I was buying, and it just, I think it was causing some problems. So I put the OEM one in. I still have the original one. I might, if that fails, I'll put that one back in. But the point of this video, so I just had the reason. All right, you notice the rack is missing. You'll notice the rear. I got to do the fronts now, but the rear splash guards are taken off. The reason for that is I'm bringing it down to be detailed. So I brought the car over today to get looked at by a local detailing shop. They are well renowned for their detailing prowess. They've been in business for about 40 years or more. It's I believe it's a husband and wife team that run it, and they have a couple employees. But the wife is the one who greeted me there, and she went over the whole car with a paint measuring tool. And little fun fact: you can't measure the paint on an aluminum hood, so that's kind of a mystery box right now. But she did measure the paint on a lot of areas, and she noted that some panels are original and some panels have been repainted. But whoever did the paint work on this car, they knew what they were doing. They really did. And if I ever have to get any panels resprayed, I'd love to find out where it was done, because you almost can't tell. She had a hard time telling, and she's been in the business for 40 years. But she did measure some thicknesses, and it's all over the place. We're talking low 2s to 5s and 6s in some spots in terms of paint thickness. Using one of those, I think it's in mils, not microns, but I think they measure it in mils on that tool she had. But weird, like the fender, it had, I want to say she was getting readings into the 5s, and then she hit a 2, and then a 5. So it looks like somebody buffed this car before, and they may have gone a little bit too aggressive in some areas. I'm thinking that's what happened. It's possible that this car might have been faded to like a chalky pink at one point in its life, and somebody buffed it back to what you see here. The color's perfect. The car has no fading. She noticed that the color was off on the front bumper, and that's because the front bumper has absolutely been repainted. But not only do they repaint it, but it's also doubles as dual stage. It's a clear coat finish on the front bumper. Whereas the hood is original paint, no question. The hood has never been touched. Buffed, yes. Touched, no. Or resprayed, no. But she believes that the rear quarters were done, or they were blended in when the trunk was replaced, when the trunk lid was replaced. This is a factory replacement trunk lid. But yeah, that's why all the stuff is off the car. They're gonna wash it. They're gonna paint it. They're gonna paint it. They're going to buff it, and it's gonna look brand new again. She is concerned that some of the paint is a little bit thinner, and the trunk lid was quite thin, because this is not factory paint. I think it was done at now where I'm standing right now, I can see a color change from here to here. So while they did a beautiful job, you can never match old paint. As far as I know, the paint work was done sometime in 06. It's been that long. So the car was 12 years old and it was painted, or when the body work was done. The rear bumper is likely a replacement. Just the bumper cover. The original bumper is still there. The car had been in a collision, a very, very minor collision, and the damage was so superficial that they just replaced a couple of things. I knew that when I bought it, though. That was not a secret. I pulled the Carfax on it, and that's how I know. And the Carfax does say, yeah, rear-end collision in Vermont in 2006. So whoever did the work, they paid real money for it. This was not a Mako job. This was not a Jack's, body shop and bait and tackle. This was done well. But anyway, nevertheless, I had them check it over. They're also going to remove at least 2 dents. So they have a paintless dent removal guy that comes by there. And I've got a dent right here. And I've got one right there on the door. So there's one right in the door. You can see it this angle you can't. But yeah, I can see it. There's bing, bing. There's 2 dents. We want them removed. I budgeted up to, what did I say? I think about $400 for dent removal. So yeah, now we're going to get into what it's going to cost me. So about $400 is what I'm budgeting for dent removal. And all they're going to do is they're going to take their little rods and they're going to tickle the dents out from the back. And they should be able to get those out pretty easily. They're not bad dents. And I told her if they can do this dent, I'd love to have it taken out. But there is a dent right there. I don't know how they're going to get to it. It will have to be done. It's outside of the the rocker box. So you would have to get to it by removing some of the convertible top components. That's what I'm thinking. But I'm not going to pay for that. Look, if they can get those 3 dents out, I'll be happy. That gets me under my $400 budget for dent removal. As for buffing, now this is where the rubber meets the road, because this is where things can get pretty expensive. She did not recommend a paint correction because the paint is fairly thin. We don't want to do anything more aggressive than we have to. And I can agree with that. So she was going to recommend I think a basic cut and buff and in a wax job. So that was going to run me $350, which I thought was, when I was talking to my dad about this, he thought it was going to cost $1,000 to do this car, or some crazy number. He had that in my head. And I'm like, nah, it can't be that much. No, it turns out it's not. So what they're going to do is they're going to strip away all the wax. Any coatings that don't belong there are going to go away. And they're going to buff it. And the car should come out looking like $1 million. After that, I think I'm going to put a windshield in it. I thought about doing the windshield first, and, well, maybe not. I mean, the windshield is not that bad, but it is pitted. It is the original windshield. So I kind of don't want to do it. You know, it's been there this long. Why change it now? The thing is, I actually, I'm going to recant that statement. I'm not going to change out that windshield, because whenever you change a windshield in a car, it always invites rust. It always does. Water always. So when they do a windshield, I've seen several windshields get done. They take their oscillating tool and they buzz out the seal from the inside. That's how they do it. When they do that, that tool scratches the paint on in the windshield channel. It always does. And then they scrape away the old sealant and they put a primer on there. Then they throw the windshield, or they put a new bead of sealant, and then they throw the windshield on. Look, if your windshield's cracked and you have to replace it, I got it. That's fine. That's totally fine. But if the windshield's not cracked and it can be saved, like I've got a little stone chip here, I might have that done. There's a guy who does a mobile stone chip repair, and he can fill that in. So I might just get the stone chips done. There's one there. There's one, a little minor one there. And there's one there. So maybe I'll just do that. I don't want to replace the windshield if I don't have to. But it is the factory windshield. And I believe these used Carlex glass because they were owned by Ford back then. Where is the mark on this thing? Because all the glass in the car has a... Oh, there it is. No, it's Nippon Safety. So this windshield does have that mark on it. It's never been taken out. I forget where it is, though. It's on there somewhere. But anyway. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with this. I want to take care of the paint for once. I mean, look at this hood. It's just... Yeah, it doesn't really show up that well under this lighting, but it is nasty. And I have done nothing but make it worse by trying to wax the car myself. I've just made it worse. That's all I've done. I've made it worse and worse and worse. I wash the car, I wax the car, it just gets worse. So, it's time to let the professionals get at it. Another thing I did, this was kind of a small little side quest, but this car came from the dealer with wheel locks. They're not a factory option, they're a dealer option. And I've decided to take them off. So I had to buy 4 replacement lug nuts, one for each wheel. And I got a set from Texas, and they were pretty clean, pretty shiny. So you can't tell which ones are which. At least I can't. So I got the wheel locks taken off. The reason I hate wheel locks, and they're terrible, because well, here's why. They've never prevented a theft of wheels. If somebody wants the wheels off your car, they're going to have all the different types of wheel lock keys in their truck or in their van or in their car, and they're going to have them at the ready, and they're going to take a quick look at that lock, which is just looks like a flat lug nut with a little design in it. They're going to have that right at the ready. They're going to slap it on there. They're going to rip it out, or they're going to get one of those wheel lock removal tools. They actually make those. And they're going to just remove the wheel locks because, you know, come on. They just keep honest people honest. The other thing is, if for some reason I have the car inspected, right, and they take the wheel off, and then they over-torque the lug that the wheel lock is, they over-torque the wheel lock and snap the tool off. That's just going to make it a really rough time. So, look, if you got stock wheels on your car, no one's stealing these wheels. No one wants these wheels. Nobody. Doesn't matter who they are. Nobody wants these wheels. They're stock Miata rims. They're worthless. They're in good shape, yes, but they're worthless. Utterly worthless. So, take those wheel locks and shove them. I capped the wheel locks because they were with the car probably since day one, but they're in the trunk in a little baggie that says wheel locks, and the keys in there too. But we're starting the season off a little early, of course, at 66,994 miles. I bought the car almost 3 years ago. It'll be 3 years ago in July, I believe. I bought it in, June. I bought it in June of 18. Oh, wow, shit. We're going on 3 years. That's not bad. That's really... I used to put more miles on my motor scooters than I put on this. But let's pop the hood and take a look at what I got going on. I got to pull the... like I said, I'm going to pull the windshield washer nozzles off because I don't want them to have to buff around them when they get to it. I thought this light was brighter than that. So here are the nozzle hoses. These might crack when I remove them. Ow. Is there any reason why I wouldn't be able to snap those out? I'll have to take a look. Get a flashlight or something. The engine made it out without any mouse damage. I don't see any chewed wires. Whenever you take a car out of a long slumber, you want to check for any rodent damage. Rodents love wiring. It's a healthy snack for them. They just love it. They can't get enough of that sweet, sweet wiring. I don't see any damage. No, they didn't get under the hood for sure. I did have rodent traps all over the garage, so yeah. So far, all the fluids look good. I'm just looking at the coolant. It's nice and full. No obvious leaks. So it's going to be a fun summer. I don't know. You know, I've almost thought about selling this car. I know, weird, flirting with that idea after just 3 years. But I was watching, I'm a huge fan of regular car reviews, which they've done 3 Miatas, I think, on their channel. But regular car reviews, they have they built a Falcon as a channel mascot, a 1961 Falcon, I think it was. And he never quite got it perfect, but he put a bigger motor in and did a few modifications. And he said, you know what? I've done everything that I'm going to do with this car. It's time for somebody else to take it on. I've actually had those feelings about this one. I don't know what else I'm going to do with it. Maybe just enjoy it. I think, am I capable of having a vehicle that I just drive and enjoy? I don't think so. I'll put it this way. I don't ever want to sell this car, but I do want another vehicle project. That's for sure. I think what's going to happen is once I settle down with the house repairs, you know, once I get the patio built, once I do the other minor repairs I got to do, and maybe even replace the windows, we'll see what happens. But once I finish with the house, all the big stuff I got to get done, I'm going to be like wicked stir crazy. And I didn't buy a house with a garage so I could just park a car in it and look at it, you know. I want something to work on. You know what I need? I need a Beetle. I need a Volkswagen Beetle. I've always wanted one. Since I was little. Always wanted a Beetle. In fact, I had a lot of Beetle toys and remote control cars. And, you know, I had, you know, kids have, you know, posters of Ferraris and Lamborghinis and all these exotic supercars. And you know what I had? Poster on my car. Well, I had the Mustang poster, which some of you guys pointed out in my photo posts. I had a Mustang 30th anniversary poster because I did. My dad was into Fox body Mustangs, and we actually had a 1984. We had a 1984 red Mustang convertible. Very briefly. It was my mom's car for a little while. It broke down too many times to count. The car was in great shape, low miles, but it had all kinds of electrical problems and gremlins and stuff. But while we had that, my dad brought me to a Mustang show. It was like just a car show for Mustangs. I think it was sponsored by a local dealer. It would have been sometime in 94? Or no, it would have been in like 90, I want to say 95. I think we had the car in the summer of 95. And that was when the new style Mustang had just come out, or was out for about a year. And because I think that came out in 90. What is that? I don't know what the chassis is, but after 94 or after 93, they redesigned the Mustang to a more sleeker, modern looking vehicle, and it had and I actually really liked those cars when they were brand new. I liked them because they kind of had some characteristics of the original Mustang. 64.5 Mustang. But we went to a car show anyway, and we looked at all these Mustangs and Mustang parts and stuff. And then I got this Mustang poster. That's where that poster came from. That was on my bedroom wall from like 95 until I want to say 2002. And then I took it down. I never put it back. I think I lost it. But that was a nice poster. And the legend turns 30, I think. But anyway. Where was I going? Oh yes, I also had a poster of a Volkswagen Beetle. Okay, that was the whole point of all that tangent. But I just had a thing for Beetles. I still do. Still want one. Anyway, I got to get myself a proper work light. Maybe I go to Harbor Freight. But I got this old desk light that I pulled from work that I wasn't using anymore. I got this at a electronics surplus store. It fits the bill. It works pretty well. I wonder if I have another bulb like this. That's not bright enough. Let's see if yeah, 760 lumens. That's not going to cut it. So I got these suckers out, and I'm going to order new ones. Unfortunately, and this one, the rubber was really disintegrating on it. This one's still intact, but it's cracking. The trick to getting these out is actually, because there's not a lot of room to work in there. You cannot get a pair of, let me show you what I mean. You can't get a pair of needle nose pliers up in there. Well, none of mine would fit. So, what I had to do was I took a long, small, flat blade screwdriver, and I stuck it in the hole, and I went against one of the clips. There's only 2 clips and then 2 alignment pieces. And I pressed against the clip on one side to rock it up out of position. And then I held the other side with my hand on the top of the hood. And then I put the screwdriver on the other side and popped it right out. So that wasn't too bad. And these little rubber hoses didn't break. So that's just another testament to the quality of these old Japanese cars. My God. The rubber components have been nothing but fantastically well made, because really on any car, especially an American or even a German car from '94, these little rubber elbows, these would be cracking, and these aren't. I mean, rubber ages not with mileage, but with, well, age. So that's impressive. I am impressed. I thought I was going to be replacing those. Nope. 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 See, every time I think about what my life would be like owning a BMW Z3, which was the car I wanted to buy, mind you, I just thank God I have this, because you can take stuff apart and put it back together again without buying 100 million parts in the process. So that's just that's impressive, really. So I'm gonna have to start looking at replacement nozzles, just because I mean those little rubber boots, they always, no matter what kind of car it is, they're gonna eventually dry rot. They're getting the direct sunlight, but look at how much dirt is on the hood. Let me see if I can just whisk it away trapped underneath that nozzle. Yeah, they're gonna wash the car and they'll take care of all that. But you know, the thing is, when you have single stage paint on your car, especially old single stage paint, not that, well, nobody's painting cars with single stage anymore, but if you have old single stage paint on your car, you want to bring it somewhere where they know what they're doing. You don't want to hire the kid on Facebook who's been doing it for 6 months. You know, especially if it's a car that you care about. You want to, if you're getting it paint corrected or getting it buffed, you want to bring it someplace that knows what the hell they're doing. And the place I'm bringing this to, they know what the hell they're doing. They've been doing it for 40 years. You know, I see exotic cars there all the time. Ferraris, Lambos, Porsches. You know, that's where these guys go. They can handle a 94 Miata. They can handle a Porsche. They can handle a 94 Miata. You know, a lot of those older cars, sports cars and exotics, you know, depending on when they were built, they used single stage paint because that's just what you used. It looks, this looks a lot better in direct sunlight than a clear coat finish. When it's polished and when it's nicely polished, this paint pops like no other paint I've ever seen. This is the reddest vehicle I've ever seen. When you get this thing in the direct sunlight, it just glows. Even the condition it's in, it just glows. It is so nice. But we'll get it taken care of. This is single stage paint. That's the only modern application of that. Could be powder coated too. That could be powder coated, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it holds up. But yeah, that is single stage red, and this paint is already starting to fade. Well, maybe not. It doesn't really see a lot of sunlight, but yeah, it's definitely cheap paint. But okay, it is a snowblower, and this is a car, obviously. Well, anyway, I thought I would clue you guys in on some of the stuff I'm working on, and you all have a great day. And I'm hoping they can take care of my mistakes, because I made a lot of them on this car. Oh God! You can see these whirl marks here. Yeah, that was me. I did that. Yeah, I ain't proud. It's my handiwork right there, buds. Anyway, owning a car that 80% of its appeal is in the condition, because the car is otherwise not terribly valuable. Yeah. All right, it's stressful. It can be. All right, I gotta get out of here. Well, I got that accomplished, so yay.